Hi everyone. In this Family Connections call, I'm going to be discussing home-based routines for students with combined vision and hearing loss. So routines are important for everyone. We all benefit from having routines. It's a part of our human nature. We tend to wake up at the same time and get ready for the day the same way. We eat lunch around the same time, and some of us even reserve certain days of the week for regular errands like grocery shopping. As humans, we feel comforted in knowing that our activities have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So when the distant senses of vision and hearing are impacted, the world can seem really unpredictable and shocking. And this unpredictability can not only increase anxiety, but it can make it difficult for students to find opportunities to communicate and engage with others. For example, a sighted and hearing child is able to gather information about their day through their distant senses. These children auditorily and visually collect information about their environment by observing their parents getting dressed, starting the car, and overhearing conversations between adults. In some instances, these children may even be able to determine where they are going and what they will do before they're even told by an adult. Unlike a typically developing child, a child with a dual sensory loss is really reliant on peers and adults for information about the environment, and routines are a really great way to provide that access. As I mentioned previously, routines are a great way to provide access to information about the environment for your child. It's also important to note that routines can be infused into one specific activity, such as bath time or meals, or they can be embedded throughout the day within a schedule or calendar system if your child is ready for that. Ideally, these routines should be simple and consistent. In the long run, it will be much more effective for your child to engage in one routine that you do every day rather than many different routines that you might only get to do once or twice a week. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about creating a routine or building a routine box. This might sound a little confusing, but it's actually pretty simple. Before you decide on what activity you're going to turn into a routine, I really want you to think about something that you and your child already engage in on a regular basis. The idea behind this is that you're building off of something that you already do, rather than creating a new task or more work for yourself and your child. Next, you're going to identify the key vocabulary and the corresponding objects with the routine. It's a really great idea to write down the objects and the name that you plan to use when engaging in the routine so that everyone is really consistent with their language and their vocabulary. For example, if you're talking about a jacket during a routine, every person engaging in that routine should also call it a jacket, rather than some calling it a coat or others calling it a sweater sometimes. Finally, you're going to outline the most important steps for the routine along with the language that you'll be using. The steps should be really simple and clear so that anyone who wants to can easily follow them while being consistent. Here are just some ideas for some simple routines that you and your child can engage in. Toothbrushing, bedtime, mealtime, bath time, or leisure activities such as TV and board games, or even home chores are all great ideas for simple routines. You might be looking at this list and wondering how watching TV can be turned into a routine, but it's actually a really great example. The routine can consist of making a choice of what to watch, turning the TV on, and maybe even asking a question after the show is over, such as whether or not the child liked it, and of course then turning the TV off again. If your child isn't already actively engaging in these routines, now is a really great time to have them start to participate in a simple but meaningful way. So for example, chores are a really easy way to do this. If you are doing the dishes, you can have your child explore some warm soapy water. Here's a great example of a box that goes along with the bath time routine. As you can see, the box contains the soap that the child uses, a sponge, a towel, and the lotion. Please do not feel as if you need to go out and buy materials to create routines or routine boxes for your child. The best thing that you can do when talking about or engaging in routine with your child is using the items that you already are using. So you can see here that this child uses a sponge. If this child used bar soap in the bath, the routine box shouldn't contain a sponge because it's not a material that that child is actively using. And here's an example of the routine that goes along with the bath time box scripted out. It's important to note that the steps can be as simple or as descriptive as you feel you need. You can see here that this family opted to script the entire routine out. And that's because this family actually planned to use this routine both as a script when engaging in the activity and when they weren't engaging in the activity. So it could be an experience story for the child to explore with siblings as well. And this script has 6 steps, and it lists out both the touch cues and the language that the family and the children should be using. So to end this call, I just want to highlight some important things to remember about routines. I know we mentioned it a lot in this call, but routines should be created out of something that you and your child already do. And additionally, when you create a routine box, include the items that you're already using. Finally, even when you aren't engaging in a scripted routine, you can still make an effort to structure activities by clearly communicating that they have a beginning, a middle, and an end.